Self-control. Verily, one of the greatest ways to improve and purify the nafs is to monitor what the nafs says and pushes its owner to do. Thus, if you have authorized someone to represent you who is capable of self-discipline, you will not check up on him. But if he is one who is not able to control himself, then you will thoroughly monitor and admonish him. Therefore, all your deeds should be performed only for the sake of Allah. For if you do not monitor your deeds, do not think that Allah will leave them without scrutiny. Such a method of self-discipline was a tradition of great persons who achieved a level of knowledge of Allah. Sheikh Muqinuddin al-Asmar, who was one of the 7 Budala, one of the greatest righteous ones, said, "At the beginning of my journey, I worked as a tailor. At that time, I started to count how many words I uttered during the course of a day. When night fell, I analyzed them and found my speech to be not really very verbose. For the good words, I rendered thanks to Allah and praised Him, and for the remainder, I offered repentance to Allah and asked for His forgiveness." He did this until he became one of the Budala. Abu Hafs al-Haddad al-Nishaburi said that the nafs of man is absolute darkness. The lamp of his nafs is his secret, sir, and the light of this lamp is the support of Allah, tawfiq. By the words, the lamp of his nafs is his secret, the scholar implies the secret which is between a servant and Almighty Allah. And this secret is the locus of his sincerity, thanks to which a servant recognizes and realizes that all that happens neither originates nor is implemented by himself but comes only from Almighty Allah. Thus, a servant disclaims having any sort of power or strength himself for the performance of good or the abandonment of evil. And then, through the support of Allah, a person will be protected from the evil of his nafs. This is why the Sheikh said, "He who has no secret is doomed to persist in sin." The most effective means of enabling the self-control of a servant is the awakening of his nafs by instructing and reminding it of its outcome with the aim of rectifying it. One of the righteous, addressing his nafs, said, "O my nafs, do you really take no notice of previous generations and the way they built and fitted out their homes and then left this world and all that behind them? And how the Almighty left their lands and buildings to their enemies? Cannot you see how people accumulate what they do not eat and how they build where they do not live and dream of that which they can never achieve? O my nafs, how amazing your doings are! Why do you not see these evident facts? O my nafs, maybe you are intoxicated with love for high status in society and because of your conceit do not understand this. Do you really not realize that the objectives of ambition is solely to desire to gain the esteem of others and for them to bend their hearts to you? Even if all the people on earth were to bow submissively before you and obey you, do you really not comprehend that in 50 years' time neither you nor any who dote on you will still exist? After all, the time will come when they will not even remember you. So how, O nafs, can you swap the eternal for that which will disappear in some 50 years? O nafs, are you really not ashamed? You adorn your appearance for the sake of people, but secretly act against Almighty Allah and commit sins. Woe upon you! Is Allah indeed for you the most unworthy of those who look at you? Woe upon you! O nafs, if only you knew that in fact you reveal yourself for what you really are, you would understand that all troubles and misfortunes descend on one only because of one's malignity. It is astonishing that you take enjoyment in the growth of your worldly wealth, but do not grieve over the lessening of the days allotted to you. What is the use of increasing wealth when your life is becoming even shorter? Struggle with the nafs. Indulgence in one's desires and abstention from obedience to the Almighty are two qualities for the nafs which impede achievement of any kind of grace. When the nafs is inflamed by anger, there is no better remedy that gives a better result and outcome than extinguishing the anger's fire by kindness and gentleness. When the nafs desires free rein, one must break and demean it by reminding it of its lowliness, the meanness of its origin, and the abhorrence of its actions. The righteous, the Nun al-Misri, said, "Corruption afflicts men in 6 ways. They have weak intention in performing deeds oriented towards the hereafter. Second, their bodies become hostages to their lusts. Third, they remain full of hope for worldly gain in spite of the nearness of death. Fourth, they prefer to please creatures over pleasing the Creator. Fifth, they follow their own desires while turning their backs on the custom of their Prophet. Sixth, they justify their fallings by invoking a few slips of the early Muslims while burying their many virtues. There are many methods and ways of fighting the nafs, which are discussed in authentic books of the great Sheikhs, so that those who strive for the satisfaction of Allah and virtue may always remember them. We provide some of their observations. First, one of those who knew Allah said, "We embraced Sufism not because of certain words and expressions, but thanks to hunger, the renouncing of worldly delights, abandonment of habits, fulfillment of the decrees of Allah, and avoidance of His prohibitions." Second, another great sage was asked, "With what shackles is it necessary to restrain one's nafs?" He replied, "Hold it down with hunger and thirst, demean it by quenching its desires, suppress its sense of greatness, and break it by renouncing the attributes of the wealthy." Third, it is transmitted from Abu Yazid Bastami, "In a dream I saw the Lord Almighty and asked Him, 'O my Lord, can you show me the pathway to knowing you?' Almighty Allah replied, 'Abandon your nafs and come to me.'" Fourth, one of the Sheikhs said, "Our path, tariqah, in the fight against the nafs is based on 3 rules. Eat only when feeling hungry, go to sleep only when drowsy, and talk only when really necessary." Fifth, another spiritual mentor said to his disciple, "Misfortune occurs for 3 reasons: a bad moral disposition, persistent adherence to customary habits, and corrupt associations." The student asked, "What does a bad moral disposition mean?" The mentor replied, "This is the consumption of that which is haram, forbidden." The student then asked, "What does persistent adherence to customary habits mean?" The mentor replied, "That is gazing on that which is haram, the enjoyment of that which is forbidden, and a propensity to slandering." The student asked again, "And what does bad association means?" To that the mentor replied, "That is the pursuit of desires every time they kindle in the soul." Sixth, one of the theological scholars said, "It is our obligation not to retaliate for the sake of our nafs against those who have upset us, but rather to ask forgiveness and apologize to them, while at the same time showing modesty and simplicity. If in our hearts a base attitude against someone arises, it is necessary to serve and show goodness to him until we see him otherwise. Thus, for one who cherishes his nafs, religion becomes contemptible. But on the contrary, for one who cherishes his religion, it is his nafs which becomes contemptible. Ordinary people try to give importance to their deeds, but the chosen ones instead endeavor to refine their spiritual qualities, ahwal. To endure hunger and night vigil is easily done, but to heal one's morals and cleanse them of pernicious habits, that is very arduous.